Las civilizaciones se están enfrentando a presiones que nunca habían tenido en el pasado. Son presiones diferentes. En parte también esto surge del contacto que están teniendo que antes simplemente no tenían. El pensador nacido en el Líbano, radicado en Francia hace muchos años, Amin Maalouf, miembro de la Academia Francesa y ganador del premio Príncipe de Asturias de las Letras, nos ofrece un libro de Alianza Editorial que trata sobre este tema, el naufragio de las civilizaciones. Hemos decidido hacer esta conversación en idioma inglés, and I do want to thank you, Mr. Maalouf, for this opportunity to speak with you. You were born in the Arabic civilization, one of the great civilizations of the world, but one that has been apparently declining over the past few centuries. Now you write in French, of course, as I assume in Arabic as well, but you are a part of the Western civilization. We had some people telling us that there's a clash of civilizations, especially between the West and the Arabic civilization. Is there such a thing as a clash of civilizations?
Well, my feeling is that there is no real clash of civilization. There are problems inside every civilization. If you take the Arab world and the Islamic world, for example, there are divisions that have never been so violent, so fierce in the past. Of course, between religious groups like Shias and Sunnis, between Kurds and Turks and Arabs. In the West also, I don't think we are experiencing a period of uniting the Western world. On the contrary, the Western world have never been so divided.
As right now.
As right now.
But the same thing is happening to the Arabic civilization. You speak of it as a dying civilization. Is there such a thing as a dying civilization?
I don't speak specifically about the Arab civilization as a dying civilization. I think all our civilizations are in a very, very difficult moment. We are experiencing a gap between our material progress and our moral advancement. And this is true of everybody. It's true of the West and of the East. It's true of every society. We have been unable to cope with our progress. We have seen countries developing economically and scientifically and technologically on a pace that had never been experienced in the past, and yet politically and in the mentalities we are not able to be on the level that we should be, and we are facing difficult moments on many levels. There is no world order, there is climate problems, the climate change, and we're not coping with it as we should.
But at the same time, globalization has brought about many advantages, many advancements for the world. Look at you. You're an Arab man talking to a Mexican. I speak Spanish as a mother language. You speak Arabic. You work in French. I work in Spanish and English. And here we are talking to a Mexican audience in English. I mean, that's interesting. That didn't happen in the past.
Yeah, and I think globalization in itself is a very good thing, as long as we know how to deal with its consequences, social consequences, political consequences. That's the main problem today. When you see in so many places uprisings of people who feel marginalized, it's because we are not dealing in the right way with the consequences of globalization. We will not go back to the world before. What we have today is a world that has disappeared and another world
that hasn't come yet.
has not come yet, And we're in between.
It's interesting. I was reflecting the other day about the the Arab uprisings of the Spring Revolution, as they called it. Now we're seeing a series of uprisings in Latin America.
That's true.
And the interesting thing is that these uprisings were taking place in countries that were actually better off than they were 20 years ago or 10 years ago in some cases. Is it a question that the more we have, the more we expect from the world?
The most important revolutions in history are revolutions coming from expectations, from growing expectations.
The revolution of expectations.
Yeah, and today we have huge expectations because we know exactly what happens everywhere in the world. We know what the others have. We know what we could have. And when we don't have it, we feel we need to say it and to fight for it.
What should we do as communities? I mean, we're not a single worldwide community, but we have our Mexican community, French community, the U.S., the Arabic countries, or Lebanon, for example. What should we be doing right now to try to feel better, to try to cope with the advancements of globalization, do it in a better way? Is there something we can do?
I think we must first go beyond communities. Mm-hmm. We need to perceive the humanity as one vast community. And
is it possible, if I look at Europe right now with all of the reactions against the immigrants coming from all over the world, can we get people to accept people from other races and cultures as the same?
The question is not, are we going to live together? Because we are living together.
That's true.
The problem is how to organize the life all together in a harmonious way. And this is the major challenge we are facing in this century.
In your book, El Naufragio de las Civilizaciones, the shipwreck of civilizations, I don't know what the original French was.
Le naufrage des civilisations.
Le naufrage, c'est la même chose. What's the message that you want to give your reader? What if your reader were to keep one idea, and sometimes some books just give you one idea, but that idea is very important. What would be that one idea?
The one idea is we need to build the world of tomorrow, because as it is today, the world is not working anymore. Mm-hmm. There is no more a viable world order. It's a jungle out there. And we need to build a world for our children and grandchildren that would be viable, where they could live in peace, where they would not fight against each other for the rest of their lives. So I think we are going through a naufragio.
Mm-hmm. Naufragio.
Naufragio.
Naufrage.
Naufrage, but it will not be the end of the world. We need to build the world that will be coming after the shipwreck.
What should be the role of the markets, and what should be the role of the states in this rebuilding of the world?
I think the markets have taken a much greater importance in the last 40 years, beginning with the Thatcher Revolution and the Reagan Revolution just after, so the end of the 70s, the beginning of the 80s, and a new way of dealing with the role of the state has taken place. And it had some very, very positive results and many negative results. One of the positive results is that there has been a rationalization, there has been an acceleration of evolution, especially in technology. Great nations from the South, like China and India, have developed very quickly. Nobody expected China.
No, in the 1960s or 70s, yeah. China was one of the poorest countries in the world.
Absolutely, and that happened in the last 40 years. And yet the fact that the state had withdrawn, that we have accepted the idea that inequality is okay, now it's producing something different. It's, many people are feeling that they have been left aside, and it's not working anymore. I think capitalism, when it was fighting against socialism, wanted to have a social dimension, and it succeeded in having it. When socialism was defeated, capitalism felt that it could get rid of its social dimension and be completely without any complex and just give the itself all the possibilities, all the power it could master. And now we have reached the end of a cycle. We need to imagine a new way of governing society with some role for the state, some role, of course, for the markets, but not an overwhelming role for the markets. We need to re-establish harmony in our societies.
Would this be something like the social democratic countries of maybe Northern Europe? Is this what we're looking for the whole world?
It could be, but I'm not sure we need to look, for example, in the past. I think we need now to imagine something new. Maybe something new will emerge from all what's happening today. Anyhow, the way the world is governed today is not working anymore.
Are you optimistic or are you pessimistic? The book gives me the impression of a pessimist book, but we're talking and what you're saying is, okay, we can do this, we can build a new world. We don't have to look at the past, we have to look at the future. Are you optimistic?
I think the mission of literature is not to tell people, just move on and close your eyes and everything will be okay. I think we need to be aware that there are problems, but I think we have the possibility of solving all problems. This is one of the characteristics of our times. We have the means to solve all problems if we identify the problems and if we have the will to solve the problems.
We can still rescue the shipwreck.
I hope so. I hope so.
Professor Amin Maalouf, author of El Naufragio de las Civilizaciones, published by Alianza Editorial. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
Y a usted, amigo televidente, que hace posible este programa, se lo agradezco también. Esto es todo por hoy, pero no se le olvide. Nos vemos la próxima.